following Executive Order number 1 of 2016, the function of performance contracting was shifted from line ministries and centralized within the presidency under the Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service. And this was done so that we ensure that there was adequate buy-in in terms of the performance contracting process from all ministries and indeed state agencies. There is now an Office of Performance Management and Coordination in order to bring together the various skills and expertise across the public service to develop a modern and relevant framework of performance management for the national government. Indeed, I think for the very first time, as a result of that, this year's performance contracts represent a true alignment between the approved budget, the agreed development priorities in accordance with these budgets, and the delivery expectations of this administration. These contracts also convey the public's expectations of the executive and indeed the public service as a whole. Kenyans want to see consistent and speedy implementation of the development agenda that we have set, and wananchi expect, rightfully so, that we as public servants shall be responsive to their needs and that we shall diligently go about our duties in a transparent, but most importantly, effective manner. I want to remind every Cabinet Secretary that they and their teams must dutifully execute what they have committed to in these performance contracts. In particular, I emphasize fiscal discipline, which is not an option. Every accounting officer is expected to oversee the proper utilization of public resources and will be held accountable for such. Every ministry has gone through a deliberate process of prioritizing its development programs, and it was on this basis that Cabinet approved the budget that we are now executing. So it's therefore essential for each ministry to focus on executing its development programs and projects in line with the resources appropriated for such purpose. This year also, I have indeed directed that MDAs and SAGAs ensure the qualitative implementation of the AGPO initiative, and you shall be held to account for that. It is essential that this affirmative action is not abused and instead used to build the business capacity of our women, youth, and persons living with disabilities. Secondly, when we talk about Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, it is important that we all recognize that we have a responsibility to support our local Kenyan manufacturers, to be the suppliers of first resort for government needs. It is doing this that we shall create the jobs that we need for our young people. A simple case in point will be the procurement of locally assembled vehicles as first priority for all government's mobility requirements. Indeed, as I close, let me be clear that we shall spend significant time and resources in the evaluation process, and that every ministry will be assessed by its level of adherence to its respective performance contracting. We shall reward good performance, but we shall also treat poor performance with the requisite consequences.